great to meet you, and congratulations on the film as well. You, of course, are two parts of the triangle at the centre of the story. And Lily Rose, I wondered what it was that made you want to play your particular role. What jumped off the page at you?
Well, what jumped off the page about my character was actually similar to what jumped off the page about the story as a whole, which was just how kind of like human it felt and how emotionally charged it felt. That's something that I always look for. I love things that are very emotionally charged, I guess, and I really liked the place that we find my character out, and she's kind of on this personal journey of like finding her purpose and figuring out who she wants to be, and she's at a really kind of critical part of her her personal growth, and I think that that's always a really interesting time of a person's life, and so a really interesting aspect of a character to play. I really love that about her.
And Tye, what was the appeal of your character for you?
I think that my character is, largely in, we're seeing the story take place, mostly through his perspective, and he's kind of on the same plane as the audience, in pondering these thoughts about, good versus evil and nature versus nurture, and whether to make decisions based on your impulse or whether to make decisions based on, the fact that it's going to be better for someone else, down the line, and kind of grappling with that selflessness. So I think that was, for me, I think that was the most, that's the core of the film, and that's why it's so human. And I think that all of those questions are questions that, you find yourself, you ask yourself on a daily basis, just going through life. And I thought that was very relatable and fun to explore in the context of this film.
It's a very claustrophobic setting, I think, isn't it, Lily Rose? How did you get on with that?
I think that aspect to the set design was, definitely intentional in just like reinforcing that feeling for the audience, because I think that, that's something that the characters would have been really experiencing, because there's something very claustrophobic about, not only just being in that environment, but also just knowing that, the entirety of your life is going to be spent in this spaceship. There's no getting out of it. And so I think that there's a very kind of like anxiety, just kind of like an anxious feeling that comes along with that. And I think that that's something that, the audience, if the audience is feeling that, I think that that's very in line with what the characters are feeling. And that's always a good thing. And I think that when you're shooting in a capacity that can bring you closer to what your character's feeling, the more of that, the better, I think.
And Tye, given that setting, would you ever fancy going into space yourself?
Oh man, maybe under different circumstance. Yeah, I would go to space if I knew that I was not going to die, or if there was a good chance I wasn't going to die, and there was a chance that maybe I could come back.
And how do you think you cope with that isolation, the sense that there's no natural daylight?
Yeah, well, I think that's, I don't know. That's what's so interesting about this film for these characters. For me, it's that all the things that they've been stripped away of. They're not accustomed to daylight. Even these things, they're not accustomed to human connection. So I think that's what makes the film really interesting. It's what makes these characters really interesting and fun to watch and fun to play.
And it's not the first time that you've been in a science fiction movie. I wondered what the appeal of sci-fi was to you.
I think the appeal to sci-fi is probably, it's probably the same for me as it is for everyone. I think we just have this, inherent fascination with the science fiction genre, because it can sometimes, play out scenarios in our future, and try to predict, things that may or may not happen, and give us the space to then think about them, on our trajectory and on this course to the future.
And who could have predicted now?
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
Guys, thank you so much for your time. It's been great to meet you, and thank you very much for the film as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one.